This is just regular water that I put inside of an airbrush paint bottle. You slide it on there and just go ahead and blow out any kind of paint that you have left in there. Of course, I had black airbrush paint in there, so the water is going to flush out all of the paint that I had left in the airbrush. And you pretty much just want to do this until all of the paint is out of the gun. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to be able to break down the Assassin Airbrush and do some cleaning on it. Alright, so the first thing that I want to be able to discuss real quick is the tools that you're going to use. So what we use is some nail polish remover, all the stuff you can be able to find at your local convenience store. And then we have some cotton swabs or some Q-tips. And what you want to be able to do is take your Q-tip first and go ahead and stick it in the area where the paint goes. And you just want to kind of push it in there and move it around a little bit to get as much wet paint as possible. As you can see, it's filthy. So you want to go ahead and just take your time and get as much paint as you possibly can out of the airbrush ahead of time. And then go ahead and take off the back protection end. Pull off your needle. And you're going to go ahead and just take the airbrush apart piece by piece. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this. Your spring is going to pop out along with your trigger lever. Pull the trigger out. We're going to pull off the protection cap. So now you just have a shell. So you're going to go ahead and take some pliers and lightly loosen up the head assembly. Go ahead and unscrew that. Your tip is going to come out. Now guys, your tip is pretty much going to be pretty filthy. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to take a Q-tip and go ahead and clean up as much of the paint that you possibly can. And then what I normally do is and then you want to go ahead and just take some paper towels or a rag or whatever you have around and wipe all the excess paint off of any of the parts and pieces. And that's the same thing with the body. The next thing you want to go ahead and do is grab your nail polish remover. Make sure guys that it's only the regular. You don't want to get anything scented or any kind of like a harsh acetone. You want to try to just get something like something that's pretty bland, something pretty simple. And what I normally do is I'll just take my rag, and first I just kind of wipe down the body a little bit with some of the remover. And then you want to go ahead and take some Q-tips. Now, don't be afraid. You're going to go through a lot of Q-tips cleaning your airbrushes. So that's why you want to be able to go ahead and get the bigger bundle of them. So I took the Q-tip and I dipped it inside my fingernail polish remover. You want to just kind of move it around in there, and of course you're going to get paint kind of coming out. And you just want to go ahead and just keep using it until you get as much of the paint that you possibly can out of the airbrush. You want to be able to go ahead and put that, clean that, the air in the paint valve where the air and the paint mixes. Clean that. Another thing you want to be able to do is you want to be able to turn the gun around from the back end and go ahead and stick
Q-tip.
Your Q-tip in the back end also to be able to get any kind of loose paint out. And the next thing you want to go ahead and do is take your needle, go ahead and wipe that off so it's nice and clean. And a lot of times what I'll do, just to be able to clear out the air chamber and the paint chamber, I'll take the needle and I'll run it in backwards all the way through the gun. And you can see all of the black paint that was still left in the gun. And so you want to kind of run this through a couple different times to get as much paint as you possibly can out of the airbrush. If you might have some airbrush paint or anything that might be on the surface that you need some help, it might be dried up, you can always just grab a couple of toothbrushes. I always have some old toothbrushes around that I use, and I'll just kind of clean them off. Now, you can also use soap and water, and the #1 key is never soak your airbrush. And what you want to do is just take your time and get out as much paint that you possibly can out of all of the parts and the pieces. Alright guys, here's a quick tip on how to be able to clean out your tip a lot more effectively. So just take a piece of paper towels, and what you want to do is just be able to roll it over top of your needle. It's a small little piece, and you want to kind of make it a cone shape. Now take your tip and go ahead and set it on top of that needle, and you just want to be able to turn it and twist it until you can get as much paint that you can possibly can out of the tip. And there you go. Nice and clean. Now let's go ahead and assemble the full airbrush. So first, you go ahead and put your tip back on. Then we're going to go ahead and put the head assembly. Take our trigger. Pop the trigger in. And then you want to be able to go ahead and take the rocker along with the spring. And take your time and screw it in there. There you go. Take your needle, slide it in. Your needle lock that down. Your protection cap on the back. Now you got your gun fully clean and ready to start airbrushing. Start to finish on how to clean your Assassin airbrush.